As you can probably tell, I'm still grading. I went through section number 1, section number 2. I'm halfway through section number 3, so if you can be patient with me, I am trying to go as fast as I can, but I'm really taking my time listening to every single word you said and every single comment that you made to make sure that I have both your grades and the money that you've been making. On that note, I also want to make a few clarifications. Number one, I'm making this video for all 3 sections. So if I give a few examples that probably came out of one of the sections and you don't think it applies to you, that's completely okay. I'm just trying to make sure that all my 3 sections are going in line with each other, that I'm not going ahead and behind in any of my sections. So I'm just going to continue to communicate with all 3 of you, all 3 sections of you, just to make sure that we are all on the same page, okay? So bear with me. The first thing that I want to address is I want to make a short video just kind of like clarifying why I've been picking these materials. So in one of my sections, the conversation that one of the groups submitted was asking this question about, I don't know, like maybe there is something subliminal going on here. If you are trained or if you've been paying attention to conversations about race and all of these controversies politically when it comes to Nazareth, all of the things that have happened in 2020, all of these things, you may be wondering, well, why is it that my professor, of all people, selected a conservative communications specialist? I didn't do it for political reasons. I did it because I genuinely believe that he is a very efficient communication specialist. I don't agree ideologically with him. I don't necessarily share his sense of ethics. I used to work for the government back in Mexico. A lot of you don't know this about me, but I worked for 7 years for the government of the state of Chihuahua, which is a state in Mexico. And I constantly was working between the governor of Chihuahua and many governors of the U.S., meaning the governor of Arizona. Anyway, the thing is, when you're in politics, you know that you have to be very punctual and precise with your language because you are about to step into so many egos and so many different agendas and so many different things. And that is almost why I respect Dr. Land's work, because I think he actually understands just how important it is that egos aside and agendas aside, we ultimately want to connect with people. So when he's giving you his personal 10 rules, I think some of them are very on point, like use language that most of us understand, use brief sentences as opposed to long sentences, but it doesn't necessarily have to do with whether or not I am Republican or Democrat or independent. I don't even vote in the United States. So that was my reasoning behind it. The second one was, okay, if you pay attention, if you're like a close reader like I am, and you say, what is this about? She's talking about hail, which is a word that also has a connotation, and then we're talking about conservatives. Am I missing something there? You're not. What I'm trying to teach you in all of my classes is that nobody owns language. If these words have a particular connotation at any time in history, we are able to take those words back. We've done it, you know. Just when it comes to Latinos in the United States, a few years ago, the word Chicana was used as an insult, and now Chicana means pride in many communities in the United States. I'm talking about Chicanos in Los Angeles, Chicanos in California, Chicanos in Texas, Chicanos in Arizona. So when we think about hail, I want you to move away from the connotation that it has, because language is not owned by anybody. We can take it, we can make it what we want it to be, and that is the power of words. If anything, we can learn that. So that was the clarification that I wanted to make. Where I stand, you can go see my syllabus. I am very clear of where I stand in terms of racism, sexism, and all of these things. I will always side with people who have been historically marginalized. I am all for social justice and restorative justice, and I am currently in the process of exploring and understanding what my role as a professor is in all of these conversations that we're having. So that's number one. Number two, and I think this is also connected. We're talking about simple words versus fancy words. And I remember sending an email, I don't remember to which section, saying all of the things that you were taught in high school about public speaking were probably wrong. And they are probably wrong for the next reason. Academia is currently undergoing a process in which we are challenging and taking a deep look into who we are, who we want to be, and how we want society to look like in the future. After everything that went down in 2020, many of us are questioning if what we were doing and what we've been trained to do is actually benefiting society. And many of us, myself included, believe that, well, when we privilege fancy language, we may be crossing a line between classism and just elegance, because we understand fancy, educated, or elegant as something as simple as privilege. People who don't have the kind of training that requires academic training or anything else are just as smart, are just as deep thinkers and critical and thoughtful and reflexive as any other person who may have ended up in academia. They may not have the language or the mastery in language to communicate their ideas, but their ideas can be just as complex, just as valuable, and just as anything else. So I would like to invite you to reflect upon what is it about fancy language that you feel so appealed to? Because what we've been proven through research in the social sciences is that, again, when it comes to connotation and meaning, we have attributed this idea of elegance and knowledge and sophistication to language that is just language, not necessarily anything fancier or more eloquent than anything else. So that is number one. Number two, when you're trying to reach your audience, it also depends on context. If you are in a professional setting, say you're about to be interviewed for a job position, of course you want to sound more professional than if you were talking to just people your age in your informative speech, for example. So yeah, you do have the option to tune your speech depending on where you're presenting, but it's about the content too, right? So we're going to try to see that when it comes to public speaking, when it comes to writing something, it's a balance. It's a balance between appealing to your audience. It's a balance between who you want to be as a speaker and what you actually can do. Because some of us are funny, some of us are not comfortable with humor. And the point is that you're not trying to be who you are not, right? If you are 100% comfortable, and I can give you an example right now. As you know, I am friends with Dr. Francesca Gentile, who's also in my department, and her office is right next to mine. She and I are constantly presenting things together because we are colleagues and we work in the same department and we have similar ideas, and we often present things for like budgets and things that we want to implement in the curriculum. And she is somebody that feels very attracted to a sophisticated kind of language. She is by training a rhetorician, so she masters that, and she is like that. And you can see it in the way she dresses, in the way she speaks, in the way she communicates with her body language. She is comfortable in that. I am my own person. I am somebody who, because of my professional training, am efficient, direct, straightforward. So that is how I present. I also love humor. I'm laughing 90% of the day. So I may be presenting in a professional setting during a faculty meeting, and I crack jokes in the middle of it because I'm comfortable doing so. So she has her own style. I have my own style. Yes, of course, we're trying to make sure that both things are tailored to the same idea and the same point that we want to make, but she does it her way and I do it my own way. And that's ultimately what comes across as authenticity, sincerity, and competence. So that is the few things that I wanted to make sure that I addressed. I will be making another short video giving you specific tips that I have learned in my years as a presenter and as a communicator, but I don't want this video to be 15-minute long, so I'm gonna cut it right there, okay? I will see you later. Bye.